Should I wear my glasses or no glasses? I look more intelligent.
Well, yeah, you
with
look
my
sharp
glasses.
as.
I was just pretty average, you know? It felt like I was pretty average. Yeah. And I wasn't super academic, and I lived in a house of like overachievers. Like I lived in a house where like everyone was like top of their class, going to the best schools, and I wasn't accomplishing those things. Maybe I'm not the smartest, the brightest, the most intelligent, but I can work hard, and if I find the thing that I really enjoy, I can put my head down and get to work and accomplish my goals. I think that there needs to be a blend of like patience to let yourself mature into that age and role, but also a sense of urgency of like, okay, if I want to be here in 10, 15, 20 years or 30 years, what's my roadmap? I think having a roadmap and an idea and self-discipline are massively important. The ability to connect with somebody in business will open heaps of doors wherever you want to go, because it's who you know, it's who you communicate, it's who you interact with.
I've been up for
Welcome to Lead It, the place where we share real lessons behind real success. I really enjoyed this conversation that we just had. Sitting down with someone who's built massive success while staying grounded and generous and deeply committed to his family. Ryan Harris has built a 16-branch law firm across California, and what stood out the most wasn't just the success, it was the mindset behind what he learned on his journey. In this interview, we talk about discipline, pressure, setbacks, communication, and the decisions that shaped Ryan's life and his career, because success leaves clues. Here's my conversation with Ryan Harris. All right, we're sitting here with Ryan Harris. Thanks so much for coming on, Ryan.
Yeah, my pleasure.
Instead of me introducing you and telling everyone what you do and who you are, if you had to tell someone who had no idea who you were and what you do without being super humble, what would you say? How would you explain yourself, who you are and what you do?
Professionally, my background is law, so I'm a licensed attorney in California.
Yeah.
And I've been licensed now 25 years. And in California, when you get your license, it's pretty much a license to practice law in any capacity. It's not like other countries where there's different levels of solicitors and barristers and whatnot.
Yeah.
But if I describe myself, I'm a licensed lawyer in California, and I have a business that's I've built over the last 20 years.
Yeah.
And we practice personal injury law, which means if someone's injured or maimed in an accident, and then they seek representation from us, and we represent them against the insurance company for the person that's responsible.
Yeah, well, cool.
Yeah.
Awesome. Well, the first question is going into, along that journey, where did your path actually start, and what would you say pushed you down that path?
So I think like my early years, like especially through the teenage years, I wasn't super academic. I wasn't extremely focused on education. I loved I loved sport. I loved surfing, and I was try to be doing athletic things as best I could, and I was probably 20 years old, and I can remember the moment. I was just sort of had like this epiphany. At the time, I was living on the North Shore of Oahu, and I remember I was surfing one day, and I just sort of had this epiphany that like I loved surfing, but there was not a future in surfing for me as an individual, just because not obviously I was never going to be someone who was going to be paid to surf.
Yeah, like me.
So despite how much I enjoyed the ocean and I wanted to be surfing all the time, I realized that for me it was going to become a hobby. And so I thought to myself, okay, well, I better get serious about what my professional future is going to look like, because I want to be in a position where I can continue to enjoy the surfing and other things that I enjoy, but have be successful enough to be able to afford it and also have the time. Yeah. So that was kind of, I was 20 years old, and for me, it's very clear when it happened, and it was on the North Shore when I was surfing. I just had this, something change in me of
Gotta lock in. I gotta set my future
lock
up.
in. That's we didn't use that phrase back then, but that's probably the best description. It's time to lock in.
Yeah. And then how did lawyer come into the picture there?
Yeah, so I had, my father's not a lawyer, but there were a few lawyers of uncles in the family.
Yeah, right.
And I had seen that if, at least for a few of them, that it was a pretty good way, especially in the States and California, to support your family and to build a career around it.
Yeah.
In California, there's barriers to entry, so not everyone can become a lawyer. So when I had that epiphany, and then I decided that I needed to get serious, then what I did at the time was, and this is the advice I'd give most young people, is set goals that are short-term goals. Not everyone likes to set goals, but an idea in your mind of what's my next year, 6 months, year, 3 year, and 5 years going to look like, and then you're always sort of projecting into the future of how you want to be and where you want to be in 10 to 15, 20 years. So at the time, I needed to finish we call it an undergraduate degree, which would be university, and the reason was because I saw an opportunity to become a lawyer and be successful in it. And so in order to do that, I needed to get my education, because you can't become a lawyer unless you go through the education.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I would tell anyone who's deciding what they want to do is get an idea in your mind and then sort of research what's required to achieve it. And then ask yourself the question again, probably over and over again for a little bit, is this really what I want to do?
Yeah.
And then when you lock in and decide that's your path, then okay, what do I need to achieve it? What's my 6-month plan? Do I need to start applying for schools, or I need to, whatever it may be. And so that's kind of what I did.
Cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Yeah.
That's really good. It's really hard to find, obviously, the biggest sacrifice, so you could do a number over the time. But if you can, what would be the biggest sacrifice or thing that you had to say no to that you believe got you where you are today, or definitely helped, played a big part in that?
I think learning how to have self-discipline at an early age is super important.
Yeah.
And for me, to answer that question, the thing that I gave up was the things that maybe I would have rather have been doing at the time, but realizing that I needed to lock in and do these things in order to accomplish what I wanted further down the track.
Yeah.
So self-discipline is super important, and I think to answer your question, that would be the thing that I had to train myself. I had to teach myself to be disciplined, to actually, if you have this great idea, but you're not willing to make the sacrifice to execute the idea, it's basically meaningless.
Yeah, just an idea.
It's just an idea.
Always be an idea.
Yeah.
Yeah. Which is quite sad, but it happens with a lot of people, and there's a lot of stories like that, right?
Yep.
Yeah. Yeah, cool. What would you say is a setback or a failure or a challenge that you would say maybe even shaped you?
I think there's been several setbacks, or at least perceived setbacks for me. One perceived setback for myself that was inhibiting me, but then ultimately ended up driving me, was this sense of when I was younger, as I mentioned, I wasn't super academic, and I lived in a house of overachievers. I lived in a house where everyone was top of their class. going to the best schools, and I wasn't accomplishing those things. And so I think, and I was actually, some of my siblings were put into what was called the gifted and talented program in like
wow.
early education.
Yeah.
And I didn't qualify. So like I always felt like maybe I didn't have the intelligence or the smarts or the skill set to be as successful as perhaps my siblings. And I think early on, I learned how to just be scrappy. And I was like, okay, well, maybe I'm not the smartest, the brightest, the most intelligent, but I can work hard. And if I find the thing that I really enjoy, I can put my head down and get to work and accomplish my goals. So I think I carried like a chip on my shoulder out of my adolescence into my professional career of maybe like having been labeled as not gifted and talented as whereas others were. So that was a perceived setback, but in hindsight, looking back on it, it actually like propelled me, I feel.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's cool. As it drove you.
Yeah.
That's really cool. That's what like Parker was just saying after he got like runner-up world title 4 times in a row.
Yeah.
He was like, that's what kind of made him put his head down and go like, I need this.
Yeah.
I have to get that world title.
I think if you, and I'm sure Parko and Joel would have felt the need inside him to prove to himself and to others that he could accomplish a world title, and that probably drove him, and obviously ultimately he achieved his goal. I think for me, same thing. It was just always a sense of feeling that I was a runner-up in life. I didn't have wasn't
for
blessed
sure.
with all the intelligence.
You have to
or
work for it.
good looks or whatever people are, or athleticism. I was just pretty average, you know? It felt like I was pretty average.
Yeah. That's cool, and that's what you grabbed and it drove you and got you where you are today.
Yeah.
You can surf whenever you want, wherever you want. Yeah. That's cool. That's really
Unless
cool.
we're nursing injuries, then it's...
Yeah. And then moving on, if you had to give your younger self advice, or if you were to give advice to someone who is, say, 18 to 25, right now, what would you tell them?
Yeah, I would just sort of repeat what I've already said in the interview. I think for someone who's 18 to 25 years of age, it's a very important time, but at the same time, it's a learning time. It's a time where you can kind of start to sort out what it is you want to do and accomplish in your life. And I think that there needs to be a blend of like patience to let yourself mature into that age and role, but also a sense of urgency of like, okay, if I want to be here in 10, 15, 20 years or 30 years, what's my roadmap? I think having a roadmap and an idea and self-discipline are massively important. And the last thing I'll add is, I think I actually wanted to become a lawyer. I enjoyed being a lawyer. And I think if you can find something that you're passionate about, and it doesn't need to be law, it doesn't need to be surfing, it can be anything. But if you find something that you're passionate and you see an opportunity to bet on yourself and like pursue that, I think that's the advice I would give someone who's 18 to 25 years of age. Come in with the mindset that you're going to do your own thing, be your own boss, and create your own thing. Because I think there's a big difference between clocking in and clocking out and working for somebody else versus like, these are my dreams, this is my passion, and I have the self-discipline and the work ethic to make it happen.
That's really cool. There's that quote, right, that says, if you don't try something, like if you don't go for your own dream, you'll work for someone else's dream or something like that. I don't know if that's actually the quote, but it's along the lines of that. Yeah,
that makes sense.
So that's really cool. Yeah, awesome. Well, to wrap it up, the last question is, if you had to advise a young person to learn a soft skill that you believe will take them further, faster in life, and if they already know it, to grow in it, what would, if you had to choose one soft skill, what would you put up the top? What would you choose?
I think the most important quality to have, regardless of what business you're in, is the ability to understand yourself and how you operate. Yeah. And also,
like personality-wise?
Yeah, like who am I? What are my strengths? Like, first is that evaluating what it is that you have to offer to the world or to yourself or to the people you care about, and where you want to be accomplished.
Yeah.
And then that skill set of like understanding yourself, it also dovetails with the skill, which I think is extremely important, is how to read other people and communicate with other people. Because the ability to connect with somebody in business will open heaps of doors wherever you want to go, because it's who you know, it's who you communicate, it's who you interact with, and so people skills, communication, and a belief in yourself. I know that's more than one thing, but that combination I feel is very important.
That's cool. The more the better anyway. Yeah, awesome. Well, thank you so much for your time, Ryan.
My pleasure.
That's a wrap to another episode of Don't Let Life Just Happen. Cheers again.
Yeah.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
That was awesome.
Thanks for having me.
Okay, we've created something called the AI summary, and how the AI summary works is we put each interview through AI, and then it brings out the top 3 takeaways we can learn from that and how we can apply them straight away. Right now in front of me, I have Ryan Harris's AI summary. I'm just going to read it straight from what it's given me. Number 1, the first one says success is built through skills, not just talent. Because Ryan said success didn't come from being naturally gifted for him. It was from discipline, communication, consistency, and backing himself. It says how we can use that is stop waiting to feel ready and start building skills early. Number 2, you don't need your whole life figured out, but you do need a bit of direction. Ryan didn't have his whole future figured out. He just picked a direction and keep moving. How we can use that? Focus on your next step, not your whole life plan. Action builds confidence. And the last one, number 3, emotional intelligence and communication matters more than ever. One of Ryan's biggest lessons was learning self-awareness, communication, and emotional intelligence. How to use that? Learn how to understand yourself and connect with people, because opportunities usually come through relationships. Okay, that's a wrap of Ryan Harris's interview. I hope you guys are inspired and learned something out of that.